Last year I swore I'd do a best and worst of 2021 list and never got round to it. Well, this year I'm back home in New Zealand for the whole month of January and won't be able to make videos, so I thought what's easy to make content I can stretch to 3 weeks in the same time it usually takes to make one video. Yeah, the best of 2022 and the worst of, and a look at what's coming up in 2023. This week, the worst 2022 had to offer. Number 10. Morbius. I genuinely can't believe Morbin time was in 2022. It feels like a whole lifetime ago that I watched this, a movie that got released twice and flopped both times in theatres. More famous for being a short-lived meme than an actual film. And after watching it at the cinema, I still have no idea if Morbius is a hero or a villain. I honestly came out of the theatre asking myself, what the fuck did I just watch? Of course it's bad, but it's kind of interesting in its badness in a way because I'm amazed anyone at a big studio actually thought this would be a hit. Flat, dull, lacking a real plot or any character development, strange editing and confused fight scenes. It's an absolute mess of a film. I can't believe Marvel agreed to let Sony put their name to it. Oh, and the ending is pure sequel bait. Number 9. Brazen. If Netflix did Hallmark mid-afternoon housewife thrillers, this would be it. A film I watched purely for Alyssa Milano, who is terrible here, in a lifeless, dull turd of a film that has almost nothing going for it. The mystery of who the killer isn't a mystery. The dialogue is as if aliens wrote it all in service of one-note boring characters. There is absolutely nothing to praise here. Hell, it's lit as if it's a romantic drama, but it's really a murder mystery. Everything is a misstep. Number 8. Nam Bai Tam. Yes, Vietnam's entry for the Oscars is on my worst movie of the year list. And that is because I've seen worse films, but not by much. Everything is pretty much god-awful. It's as if everyone involved had gotten blind drunk on a week-long bender. Had someone drunkenly describe a kung fu action film to them, they having never seen one, then sober, they tried to piece one together from the hazy drunken memories of the description. The narrative is dull and as obvious as it comes, weird editing, and the fight scenes are atrociously shot, and honestly, I genuinely laughed for 5 minutes straight at one scene because it was so hilariously stupid. It was not meant to be laughed at. Vietnam actually makes some decent films, this is not it. Number 7. Persuasion. Another Netflix film. This time they tried to turn Jane Austen into something that would appeal to a Gen Z crowd, and failed miserably. There's a reason Austen's work has been popular for over 200 years at this point, with every generation from first publication to now. But no, someone at Netflix thought the youths of today wouldn't get it, so had someone write such garbage as, now we are worse than exes, we are friends. The film is full of lines like this, and as someone tweeted, Dakota Johnson has the face of a woman who knows what an iPhone is. And they're dead right, she looks so out of place in this time period. Get a better agent, Dakota, you probably deserve better. Such an awful adaptation that Jane Austen is probably spinning so fast in her grave, we no longer need worry about the world's energy consumption. We could just hook her up to the national grid and have endless power. Number 6. Moonfall. I love schlock sci-fi action. Unabashed fan of it. Doesn't matter how silly or overblown it is my own personal catnip. So for me to put Moonfall on my worst of the year list, you know it had to be really bad. And it's on this list because it commits the biggest crime a film can commit. It's boring. Cliched and silly, I will forgive if I'm entertained. But this was both of those things, whilst at the same time being boring as all hell. So all I did was sit there and think about just how silly and cliched it all was. Emmerich has sadly become a parody of himself. Number 5. The Sixth Secret. This is probably being very harsh, putting a small independent Estonian film on my worst of the year list, ahead of a movie that costs hundreds of millions of dollars. But they released it and charged people money to view it, so here we are. The acting, the story, and oh good god, the accents are all atrocious. It's supposedly a horror comedy, but it is neither funny or horrific in any way, shape or form. Almost like a small acting troupe put on a stage play then filmed it. It is at least shot and lit competently, and it does nail the classic era of Hollywood film it is going for, but still not worth your time. Number 4, Blackout. An action flick so generic it actually made me black it out of my memory, so I am going to have to go from my notes from the time, and they only have this to say. I knew I'd made a mistake watching this only 5 minutes in. Everything about this screams made for TV. It's shot badly, has boring generic action scenes, a boring generic script, dreadful acting, and to top it all off, flat, lifeless, dull generic cinematography and direction. Utterly rubbish. I have nothing else to add because I can't remember a single thing about this film if I'm being brutally honest. Number 3. Amsterdam. Amsterdam, more like Yornsterdam. Good god, with notes like that, I'm obviously some sort of genius, but sadly only about half as clever as whoever wrote this script thinks they are. I think they didn't even write a script, they just spent a boatload of money on a stellar cast and told them to do acting and then tried to edit together what they captured. The plot is totally devoid of any kind of actual engaging narrative or characters, and it just meanders to an end, by which time I'd lost all will to live due to sheer boredom. It does have some fantastic performances from the cast, looking at you, Christian Bale, and looks great, but good lord, the script. It's all about the script, which is the equivalent to sleepwalking in a padded room for 2 hours. Absolute snooze fest, and apparently the director is a massive thunder cunt, so I really don't feel bad about putting this on my worst list. Number 2, 365 Days This Day. The sequel to the worst movie of 2020 and probably one of the worst movies ever made. Somehow they made an even worse movie for a sequel. Honestly, this is mind-bendingly bad. The first 40 minutes are basically one long sex scene, with weird music video type interludes, including one where she takes a golf ball up her hoo-ha. Yeah, that's something that happens in this film. No, it's not worth sitting through any of this to watch it. The next hour or so is what I charitably call plot, and I'm being incredibly charitable by describing it as such. I should also mention the cliffhanger ending to the first film is never brought up or dealt with at all, so it's a good job they end this one with yet another massive nonsensical, largely insane twist ending, which if we get a third in this series will also never be resolved, because who needs plot or continuity when you are making softcore porn? But well, I don't understand who these movies are for at all. So what was even worse than a movie that has worse plotting than actual pornography? Anyone who knows me screaming Avatar 2! But I didn't bother watching that because I hate Avatar. It's Jurassic World. Jurassic World is the worst film I saw in 2022. A film I endured. I didn't watch this film, I genuinely endured it. Tediously, painfully. Boring. So boring, in fact, that it almost became the first film I stood up and just went sod this and went home instead. About halfway through I went to the bathroom. I didn't need to actually pee. I just felt like doing something other than continuing to watch this film. About as cliche of a cash grab as it is possible to create. One scene has a T-Rex wander in front of a statue and it recreates the Jurassic Park logo. And I genuinely involuntarily shouted, "Oh, just fuck off!" in the cinema. An absolute joyless experience from start to finish. At least in 365 days, I saw tits. Hence it gets to be number 2, and this is my worst movie of the year. Next week I'll be back with my best movies of 2022, so if you want to see that, like, comment and subscribe.